I'm going to choke up here. First of all, thank y'all for being here. Goodness, people that have been in my life for many years. And if you had a chance to read my statement, you're in the art. So this show is supposed to have, well, I want to thank the collective. The collective has been amazing. Before I talk, if this is your first time here, come back. They are an amazing group. They said, you do the art and we'll take care of everything. And they were doing the lights and they said, do you like this lighting? They were like really, they wanted it to be what I wanted. But they did all the work. And Scott hanging the show, he's just premium with like hanging things and thinking about the shadows and anyway, and Beth and Sky and just really the collective here is amazing. So if you like art, just come back, wander into the other galleries, wander into the studios. They are providing, support them if you can, but just coming here it's a really cool place. And I'm glad to see, my students here. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how this show came about. So I'm going to I'm not trying not to go too long. I'm a teacher, so I have a tendency sometimes to, but they kind of like the stories, I think, sometimes. But people want to know kind of how it comes together. And I think, for my students in particular, they're working on a thematic body of work, my advanced placement students, which is a really hard thing to do when you're 17 or 18. It's a hard thing to do, at my age. It's hard work. Art is hard work. This show was supposed to happen before COVID, and we were taking care of my mother. And you don't realize what an impact taking care of a family member has upon you. But I wouldn't do it any other way. And we were grateful to have that time with her. And I had moments with her that were different from when I was a child. And good moments, and some painful moments. But I had to cancel out of the show prior to that because we were just having to take care of my mother. There were other priorities in life. But that kind of forces you to think about life and think about what's important. So I did some pieces after her passing that were about letting go and kind of dealing with that loss. And as this show started to come together, I started to think about what really matters. And it's the people who've been in my life. And if you read my statement, which came about kind of in the last little bit, and some of it's in this piece, which was the last piece done, y'all are in my tree just by being here tonight. And that's really so I started working, and I tell my students, sometimes you have an idea and you don't know where that idea is going, but your heart says, I got to go with this idea. And you delve into it. And then the idea finds you. And that's what happened with this show. And so push and pull, obviously that refers to nature, and my work obviously refers to nature. But it also refers to the people who pushed us in life and the people who pulled us along. And many of you are in this room, and I don't want to, there's too many to single out, who gave me those pushes and gave me those pulls in life that are so important. And so the show is really dedicated to everybody who is a part of my tree, who is in my leaves, is in my roots, is in my trunk, is in my branches. And that's kind of what my statement is about, is I realized that after my mother passed, that I can rely upon everybody who has been a positive influence upon my life You may not be with me and sitting there with me, but I can visit you. And I can say, I can remember the times we had, in the classroom, growing up out on the track. I can remember those moments that help us through those tough times. And we all go through those tough times, whether it's the loss of a parent or something else. So I believe I turned it into all that into a positive. And I hope maybe you walk away with that as well, that, I was talking to somebody earlier tonight, and they were talking about how they love trees. And I said, who doesn't love a tree? And I've spent a lot of time running all those things over time. So I've observed a lot of trees, and they've always really kind of spoken to me, just the way they are in the environment. So that's really kind of how the show came together, and it kind of grew organically, no pun intended, with just thinking about everybody. And so I write, there's statements in there that get covered up and aren't visible, but they are about those people that have been in my life. And, many are standing in this room, and this art is for y'all. It's a tribute to those of you. Sometimes people are in our lives for a short period of time. Sometimes people are in our lives for a long period of time. But even if they're in that for a short period of time, they're still with us. So I want you to, imagine your tree. What does your tree look like? And so that's the gist of the show. That's kind of how it came out. I am beyond grateful for y'all coming out to see the show. It's going to be up for a few more weeks. I'm going to be here on some Saturdays. I know sometimes the opening isn't the best opportunity to view a show because it's more of a social thing. And so it's good sometimes to come in when it's a little bit more quiet. I'm happy to try to meet you over here if you want to talk or chat or have a beer or a cup of coffee or whatever the case may be with that. Students, y'all didn't hear me say that. But it's about love, because that's all we need. Thank you.